And happy Halloween, everyone. And we are doing well, it's not the final in the week of Hood. We got tomorrow's and then Monday's my normal day. But it's the final in the Halloween themed ones at any rate. I don't know if I have another one planned for tomorrow. I don't think I do. Now, and to be fair, this one probably is weird for a lot of people. Honestly, it's just because it was the next person on the list who was giving me a Halloween themed one. And this is the suggestion. So I'm like, okay, just throw it out there and get it done with. So Dylan H. asked the question, who would win in a fight? Jason Voorhees versus the Green Goblin, Norman Osborn. I mean, sure, why not? We would eventually got into something like this anyway. Maybe it's not the most Halloween. Maybe I should have honestly bumped this one yesterday and then Freddy versus Michael Myers today. Probably would have been a better idea, but oh well, hindsight. So Jason Voorhees, I've done so many times with this channel, but let's get this over with. So we have the standard, the version of Jason that we get in the original series leading up to ending with Jason Goes to Hell. Which technically is the same Jason as Freddy vs. Jason. That's technically in that continuity. But I do count that one a bit as a different Jason. The rules for that Jason don't quite fit the same rules as the Jason X or Jason Goes to Hell Jason. So I usually count those as two different Jasons. You get the human rebooted Jason. You get the comic book version of Jason. And you get Uber Jason. Let's just see how I'll give myself at best 5 minutes to go over this. You know his story. He was a kid, deformed, drowned, or was kind of drowned in a lake, but turns out he survived. His mom got killed after killing a bunch of people. Now he goes out for revenge for his mother, pretty much, and kills anyone near Camp Crystal Lake. Jason is described as a supernatural force of nature. You can't truly kill, in most carnations, you can't truly kill him. In the original timeline, he had immense regenerative capabilities. Ultimately, he became kind of a zombie, is what he did. But he had immense regenerative capabilities, immense strength. He was able to literally take someone's head clean off, basically bifurcate someone, basically split him in half with like a post of some kind, a rod, after stabbing them. Able to topple a very large, like, jungle gym structure made entirely of metal. If you know what I'm talking about, it's like that dome that you hide in with, like, all the openings. And he'll just top that over himself. He always wields a machete. It's in the games, he can teleport. It's never truly specified that he can teleport in the movies, or I think even the comic, but he can teleport in the games. But it's clearly a limited version of teleportation because you can't. He wouldn't have to chase anyone down at that point. He just would teleport. So there's got to be some sort of limitation to how he can teleport. He also doesn't like use it in combat or anything like that. Like when he was up against Freddy, he didn't use that to fight Freddy. When he's fighting any of these people, he doesn't just teleport like Nightcrawler and disappear. So clearly his teleportation has limitations. But in the original series, he can only be killed, again, take out any sort of magical means that would circumvent it, by the blood of a Voorhees killing him. Basically a relative Voorhees taking him out. And that was the only way you could kill him. That being said, you can still blow him up. Yeah, his spirit he could possess people by someone consuming his heart because, it's just someone being egged on to do so. But still, he was very tough to put down. He could take gunfire, no problem, but he got blown up by like a strike force. But still, like most incarnation Jason, he was so slow. And then you get into I'm just going to bounce around a little bit. Basically, Freddy versus Jason is the same type of Jason. He's slow, can take a lot of beatings, he can take a serious amount of punishment. He had both his eyes gouged out, but those quickly regenerated. Yet when he got his fingers cut off, those hadn't grown back yet. Because this Jason is, again, also kind of a zombie. This Jason's also extremely physically powerful, but again, so slow. Then you have Uber Jason, Jason X Jason. That Jason is physically probably the toughest and strongest Jason there is. Barring the comic version, which does have a higher level of regeneration from what we saw, or what we know, but that Uber Jason is, by all accounts, the strongest version, most powerful version of Jason. Because he was enhanced not just with his own regenerative capabilities, which they do talk about in the movie. Like, they talk about his healing capabilities are, like, amazing, is what they say. But it's clearly over a period of time he'll just recover. it's not like he was going to recover from what they did to him on the ship, where they blew out his side, blew off an arm and a leg, and then blew off his head. He wasn't going to recover from that on his own, apparently. But Uber Jason was strong enough to literally huck a tree, if I'm not mistaken, and I mean like a freaking long, 30-foot long, foot round, thick, wide, minimum tree, huck someone at someone and basically squish them. He's still got the regeneration of Jason too, so he's still got that in him, but he's also got the endurance and durability of someone who can survive vacuum space and re-entry into a planet's atmosphere. That is pretty freaking powerful. And he was able to tear through solid metal with ease. Plus, he wields a machete as well. And he's still pretty stealthy. Then you get the human Jason. The human version of Jason is the only version, and I've heard some people argue that version of Jason was still, supernatural, but there's no evidence in the movie, besides the little stinger at the end where he jumps out of the water, that really suggests that. And really, that because they never did a sequel to follow it up, you can't say that was legitimate what happened, because it very well could have been a fake out like it was in the original series, where Jason came out of the water, pulled the girl under, and then turns out it was a dream. It's very possible what that could have been. So you really can't go with the argument that he's supernatural because he came out of the water. That was one scene. That was it. And frankly, he probably would have survived the freaking shaving of his skull off the side of him, or when he basically got blitzed up by that rotating blade. He would have recovered probably a lot quicker otherwise, and they probably would have noticed him healing too. So that Jason, as far as I can tell, was depicted pretty much as human. But he was still a powerful dude. He also was the most armed of the Jasons too. He has both I think he has a hatchet on him. I know he has a hunting knife. He has a machete. And we saw him wield a crossbow too. So he is the most armed and versatile. He's probably the most woodsman of them. He's also the only Jason who I actually see running. Which when you see the trailer for the original one, it's like when you actually see him running, you're like, oh crap, he's doing that now. Like, that's the thing Jason does now. Crap. Because the question is, why did they all just keep walking? So chase after Vixen. Now you get that. So he knows his layout. He's very capable in his environment. And he's very dangerous. He's still a huge dude too, so he's still pretty jacked. And then there's the comic version of Jason, which has all pretty much the abilities of all the standard Jasons, except for the durability of the Uber Jason. But he makes up for that with the regenerative capability of comic Jason, who has a regenerative capability on par with someone or similar to someone like a Wolverine or a Deadpool. It isn't quite the same as that, though. It does take a bit more effort to regenerate from serious wounds. But it's clear that it's our regenerative capability on a whole nother level than what we saw in any of the movies. Otherwise, he's also skilled enough to bring down a helicopter by taking out the pilot. So, that Jason is very, very capable and very hard to put down. Jason in any incarnation is hard as hell to put down. Maybe the human version because it's human. The Green Goblin and Osborn are exposed to gas or whatever chemical it was in the actual comics that gave him superpowers, but also a dissociative personality, a split personality. He's widely considered to be Spider-Man's greatest, or at minimum among his greatest villains. Venom's often considered up there as well, but no, Green Goblin's always been considered his greatest nemesis. The serum gave him, he's always been extremely intelligent, but he's also gave him enhanced physical capabilities to the point where he can go toe-to-toe with someone like Spider-Man, who is capable of going toe-to-toe with individuals toe-to-toe is a bit of a strong term. He can trade blows with individuals like Hulk and even Juggernaut to some degree, who are far beyond the 100-ton tier scale. Spider-Man, though, is generally depicted to be in the low 10-ton tier scale. Though we've seen him do some extremely impressive feats, he's never been depicted in the super strength tier scale. He's never been depicted like a Thor. Hell, I don't even think he really measures up to a Colossus, now that I think about it. We're talking about brute strength, I mean, he's powerful. He can lift the vehicle, no problem. He can take on big robots, no problem. Giant monsters aren't that difficult. But when you're actually talking about like the levels of super strength that exist in the Marvel Universe, he's nowhere near the bottom, but he's nowhere near the top either. He floats in the middle. And Green Goblin can keep up with him. So he's comparable to Spider-Man. Maybe not stronger than Spider-Man, but he's certainly comparable. Speed-wise also, he can run much faster than a normal human athlete. He's got enhanced reflexes, enhanced durability, enhanced healing factor. They even pointed out when in the information I read, it's not like a Wolverine level of healing factor, but he can survive from lethal wounds given enough time. He's also equipped with a lot of tech, including his glider, his armor, which has got chainmail to it, and his pumpkin bombs, which can do concussive blast, electric blast, incendiary bombs, which can literally melt through, I think, 3-inch steel metal or sheet metal, which, as you see in the movies, completely atomizes a person's flesh, which seems to be keeping in character with what we see here. So, or what we see in the comics as well. So, yeah, he's also got blades equipped to the glider. Glider also fires missile. Glider itself is its own weapon, really, apart from being transportation. So, let's get all the really quick battles out of the way here, and then we'll talk about probably the big one that needs to be talked about. Against regular series Jason, Green Goblin would kick his ass because the Strike Force was able to blow his ass up. I'm sure Green Goblin, with much more advanced tech than the Strike Force had, would be able to blow his ass up or incinerate him and then just be done with it. So, and then just fly off. And then someone maybe finds a remaining part of Jason, gets possessed by him, but Goblin wins that encounter. Let's be honest. So, get that out of real quick. Same issue with, the problem here is that Goblin, in almost any of these circumstances, doesn't need to get close to Jason to fight him or kill him. And that's what he would do, too. That would be just a standard tactic of the Goblin, is to just throw a grenade and be done with it. So he would incinerate standard series Jason. He'd incinerate human Jason. Although human Jason might try to take him out from the sky. Like his chainmail is just going to, okay, an arrow, that's not going to do anything. Boom, done. Freddy versus Jason, he's done. So, really, your two real big issues right here, and obviously I give the majority fight the Goblin here. It's going to be comic Jason with his seriously enhanced healing factor, and Uber Jason with his supreme durability and strength. Those are going to be the Goblin's toughest opponents in this. So if Goblin comes in, he maybe just throws a pumpkin grenade at comic Jason. Comic Jason maybe just catches it but gets blown up. Maybe it's not an incendiary one at first. He does start to heal up. The bigger wounds take longer to heal. It's not like he can just regenerate from a pile of goop. It does take a moment for him to heal. Goblin sees this and interesting, and then Jason just throws a blade at him. Goblin manages to catch it though because he's got great reflexes, and he says, "Nice shot. Even if you had hit me, even if my chain absorbed the blow, it might have pierced the flesh. Ah, that's quite interesting. What else do you have there, goalie? Or what else? Actually, no, go with Freddy. What else do you have down there, hockey puck?" And then Jason just looking at him, just glaring, takes me like a rock, throws it, and he throws him good, actually throwing rocks out, and one of them hits him in the face. Ah, you son of a! And then Jason actually throws. Because he does have arrows and stuff like that. Hits an arrow and just actually does hit and he's like, oh, okay, all right. You want to play? Let's play. Boom, and just starts basically carpet bombing Jason. And at that point, sorry for you Jason fans I'm sure I'm going to get people who hate me for this anyway. So you don't know Jason can regenerate from this. Like, I get it, but look, there's only so much limitation a character has to regeneration. Like, if he went up against like Lobo, for instance, he couldn't kill Lobo. He doesn't have the power, even with his incendiary bombs, to take out Lobo. Even against Wolverine, he could incinerate a lot of his flesh, but because of adamantium skeleton, Wolverine would survive that. Jason doesn't have that luxury in comic version form. Even if his regeneration is extremely enhanced and like near like a Wolverine, Deadpool, not quite a Lobo, but because Lobo's regeneration is nuts. Even by Marvel, as much as Wolverine is like the comic book poster child for regenerative healing factors, Lobo's kicks his ass. So yeah, but he's still got very impressive ones. Like maybe like like the tier down from like a Wolverine or something like that. Like you can still see him like regenerate and stuff like that. But Goblin decides to wipe him out. There's nothing Jason's going to be able to do. So Common Jason, unfortunately, I think loses that fight. Now your big fight here, though, is going to be Uber Jason versus Green Goblin. Because whereas normally the bombs would be enough to take out Jason, this Jason was able to survive re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, which doing so heats, how hot does something re-entering the atmosphere get? How hot does something entering the Earth's atmosphere get? All right. How is something up? So when a small meteor enters the vacuum of space atmosphere, it goes from traveling through a vacuum to traveling through the air. This causes the meteor to heat up so much that it glows. The air burns the meteor up until there's nothing left. Re-entry meteors can reach around 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit, 1,650 degrees Celsius. Yeah, I don't think the pumpkin grenades are going to. Now, don't get me wrong. Let's be clear here. I'm not saying they might not hurt him or damage him or distract. They would definitely be good at that. And they might even do some damage. Because remember, it is a sudden flash impact of that much heat and damage. But because he was able to survive, he didn't remember, too, though he landed in the lake. Still, landing in the lake at that speed, at that heat, it's not pleasant. Because he survived that, he can not only take huge impact, he can take huge, extreme amount of heat at once. So, whereas Goblin tries, again, throwing one bomb and being over with, Jason kind of walks it off. He's probably glowing a little bit. Because remember, a lot of his body's metal now. But he's probably like glowing a little, like red hot. Not like all of him, like his entire body isn't red hot, but it's like accents of like his cheeks and stuff like that are red hot. So he's just staring at Goblin. And Goblin's like, ooh, this is interesting. Throws a different bomb at him. Let me get Green Goblin up here again real quick. Green Goblin. I want to remember exactly what kind of like pumpkin, because those are his main weaponry. That's like in terms of like the weapons he has on call. Besides the stuff like comes with the glider, that is like what he normally carries on him. So in terms of okay, where? Okay, there we go. Okay, yeah, concussive, incendiary, smoking gas. I don't think that would really do much, unfortunately. He also sometimes threw a razor projectile at his opponents, kind of like a deadly batarang, if you will. And tries on Jason, doesn't cut him. The problem is Jason doesn't really have any long range capabilities. This is another reason why the teleportation is kind of pointless in this fight, because even if he has it, it doesn't work to the point where he just appears in midair. The Goblin's gloves are also interwoven with micro-circuit conductive fragments capable of high-frequency electrical discharges, variously referred to as Goblin Sparks, Goblin Blasts, and Sparkle Beams, from recharging power packs in both his cuffs and costume lyrics. They had capacity of discharging for 5 minutes and sustaining power. So, yeah, I mean, when Goblins realizes like his concussive blasts and his incendiary are 3-inch thick steel of sheet metal. So that's a lot of freaking heat. So Goblin might try to go in close range. That being said, his glider is still extremely capable in itself. Because it can move at 90 miles, maneuverability speeds of 90 miles an hour. It's capable of supporting 400 pounds, including Norman's weight. Top speed and full Norman load would exhaust the fuel supply in 1 hour. The main microprocessor assisted manual fuel controls behind the heat glider. Let's see. The glider steering primarily, however, by the weight and altitude of the rider, the glider's boot kicked into the strip. Basically, what it was. What it was capable of doing. And again, it carries a couple weapons on itself. Mostly it is used for transportation or like some quick melee weapon, because the glider has some blades on it as well. So maybe Jason is actually able to manage to like throw the giant tree at him. Goblin's glider actually gets damaged, and he just suddenly is like, son of a, all right, fine. I'll have to go with the next model up. And then he basically, charges the glider right, and Jason, who just takes it, but he gets blasted back. Goblin throws both a concussive and an incendiary, and then just boom, explodes. Jason now is probably a little what's the best way to put it? He's probably got some minor damages on him. But he's still well and truly like all right overall. And then the close range fight comes in. Now, the thing about the close range fight is this. The question we have to ask, is Goblin actually stronger than Jason? For all the strength feats we know, because that's what Jason really is. He's brute power is what he is. He's brute force. But is he actually stronger than Jason? Is he actually stronger than the Goblin? Honestly, I don't know. If I were to be honest, I don't think he is. Because he can match Spider-Man, Spider-Man's strength is within the several, like that tree in certain had to weigh maybe we see in the comics, probably weighed a few tons, or maybe a ton at most. Because it wasn't depicted like as a redwood that's probably God knows how many tons. It was a big tree, maybe a couple hundred, maybe even half a ton. And he did throw it with a lot of ease. So he could probably lift a couple tons. But I don't think he can really match someone who lifts or can match Spider-Man in terms of strength, who can lift well into the 10 of tons range. So they'll probably duke it up back and forth. Unfortunately, even though Norman might have a strength advantage and a skill advantage, the durability advantage clearly is on Jason's part. So Jason's taking whenever Goblin like hits him in the face, it does kind of rattle Jason just slightly. Jason's actually surprised that someone can hit him that hard. So he immediately goes back in. He actually manages to catch the Goblin's hand. He takes off his arm. Goblin's just son of a. It's a more or less what he's trying to do is find a weak point in Jason, and basically he just takes everything he's got left on him and basically just wraps like his bag around, like you see in there, the Goblin bag of tricks around his neck, and just gets at her and just boom. At this point, after taking that much damage that many consecutive times, Jason is probably starting to waver somewhat. Like metal pieces are starting to come off him. Like the metal's peeling off. He's cinder. Jason even maybe kind of struggles a little bit, but he keeps going. And Goblin now is actually like scared. Like, what the hell is this guy? Like, why won't he die? And he's like, pulls a brain and starts to try to stab at like the spots and everything. And it's like Jason just grabs him again, just throws him, just boom, smacks him. Surprisingly, he can't punch a hole directly through him with like the first punch. And even Jason's a little surprised, but it's like Goblin just gets up again, boom, smacks back, but Jason again just stabs him in the side, sticks him to the tree. Goblin, because Goblin's survived impalement before, punches him again, actually forces Jason back with both his hands. Jason, he's actually able to put himself off the tree, has Jason's machete, starts to go for the chinks in the armor, literal armor, start to peel it off a little bit, actually stab at what part's vulnerable to Jason, and Jason is starting to be like, in his mind, he's like, why won't he die? Like, normally when I do this, they die pretty quick. Huh. And he's like, that does hurt too, because I'm certain Jason can feel pain most of the time. Though there's been some examples where he kind of doesn't. Like when Freddy cut his fingers off, it's almost like he didn't know. He looked, like, huh, that's irritating. Like, did you not feel that? But he's basically just Norman's just like, yeah, die. Why won't you die? Why won't you die? And then Freddy just breaks the other arm. Then finally just basically ends him right there. So against all the other versions of Jason, yeah, Goblin's gonna win. He's just got the long range power to just take these guys out, no problem. Against Uber Jason, surprisingly, I give the win to Uber Jason because of sheer strength and durability. If Goblin had something in his arsenal that would have been able to take on something that could survive, like again, his incendiary grenades probably could do like some temp damage to Jason. Like I said, they hit him. He's probably glowing hot all off his body, but he's still good to fight. And by the way, I don't think the entirety of Jason was pretty much laced with metal at that point. So yeah, he's still good to fight. But you throw enough of those, that does, like I said, it does start to wear Jason down after a while because yeah, he survived re-entry into the planet's atmosphere, but it's not like he was it was quick, all things considered. It wasn't like a continuous source of concussive and burning attacks. He didn't suffer any concussive damage until he hit the lake, and even then, he was hitting the water, which cooled him down. So ultimately, that durability and that strength and that ability to just keep coming really is what did him in this fight. But, let me know what you think. Do you think Goblin wins all of them? Do you think Jason wins all of them? Do you think it's kind of how I put it, where Uber Jason's the one Jason that could take him on? Or do you think any of the other Jasons could actually beat the Green Goblin as well? Let me know in the comments below. But thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. As always, you want us to review something, put in the comments below. Let us know. We'll get to a review of it at some point. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Happy Hallows Eve. The wife's going to have to be pushed, the next My Hero Pokemon with. It's going to have to be pushed to tomorrow. I just got other things I got to do tonight. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you folks next time. Later.